The problem with having a materialistic, accumulative relationship to our spiritual path is that spiritual awakening is about realizing that who and what we already are at the deepest level is already whole, full, and complete. And that reality at the deepest level is a glorious, sacred event that is not missing something. It's not missing anything. It's a fullness. It's a completeness. Could even say at its essence, it's a perfection. It's not lacking anything. Therefore, we're not lacking anything in our essence.
Welcome to Meditation Changes Everything with spiritual teacher Craig Hamilton, a podcast exploring the deeper potentials of meditation practice and how it can change every aspect of human life. In this episode, Craig explores one of the most persistent obstacles to profound meditation, the subtle desire to get something from our practice. Most of us spend our lives trying to achieve goals and accumulate things. But spiritual awakening is a process of letting go, not acquiring more. So if we want our meditation practice to bear fruit, we need to find a way to let go of wanting to get anywhere or acquire anything. Today, Craig discusses the many forms of spiritual materialism that confront us on our path. He then shares tips on how you can step beyond it, allowing you to unlock the deeper dimensions of meditation and awakening. We hope you enjoy the show. Here's Craig.
So the essence of this idea of spiritual materialism and how to relinquish it is simply that, we are human beings who have been going through our lives with a kind of attitude of achievement, acquisition, accumulation, getting things, having things. And I don't just mean concrete, I don't mean physical things only. It includes getting and having physical things, but it includes, having experiences, achieving things that we then can kind of hold as our achievements and accomplishments, and kind of add these to our self. If you think about it, there's this self that's going through a life and it's trying to add things to itself, learn more things. So now I'm smarter and wiser and I know more. So I'm adding knowledge to myself. I'm experiencing more things. So I'm enriching myself in the way that diverse experiences do, adding all of that experience, that wealth of experience we talk about, a wealth of experience. So adding that wealth of experience to the self. And of course, certainly, there can be material acquisition and our possessions that we accumulate and add to ourself. That means something about me, that I have these things. Relationships, people we accumulate. So we go through life, kind of building up the self with all of these things. And then we come to the spiritual path at some point. We get interested in spiritual things. We take up spiritual practice. And naturally, we relate to the spiritual path in the same way, where it's, okay, I, this separate, solid individual self who's going through life, I'm now going to add spiritual experiences to my wealth of experience. I'm going to add spiritual insights and spiritual knowledge and understanding to that wealth of knowledge that I'm accumulating. And maybe even spiritual awakening or enlightenment is like the ultimate thing the self could have. It's the ultimate thing I could gain for myself. And then I would whatever our version of it is, be happy all the time, be blissful, be content, be wise, be, strong and clear and resilient and in touch with a deeper context. And this would all be wonderful things that I would have. And so maybe just take a moment and just notice that journey I just described for yourself of going through life. And, we all have different things that we value. So we kind of accumulate and acquire and achieve different things, the things that are aligned with our own values. But there's still this sense of enhancing, building up the self with all this wealth of knowledge, experience, understanding, insight, love, connection, relationships, possessions. And now spirituality, the ultimate thing to really, fully fulfill the self, make the self awesome in all kinds of ways. Although that orientation that I described might be fine in all kinds of areas of life in any conventional sense of living a human life, drives us, that desire probably drives us forward, drives evolution forward, drives innovation forward. It's, what's driving all the progress that humans have made in so many ways, to some degree, contributing to that. But when it comes to the spiritual path and spiritual awakening in particular, what's wrong with this picture? So the problem with having a materialistic, kind of accumulative, achievement-oriented, accumulative relationship to our spiritual path is that spiritual awakening is about realizing that who and what we already are at the deepest level is already whole, full, and complete. And that reality at the deepest level is a glorious, sacred event that is not missing something. It's not missing anything. It's a fullness. It's a completeness. Could even say at its essence, it's a perfection. It's not lacking anything. Therefore, we're not lacking anything in our essence. And moreover, this idea, even the very idea that I'm a solid, separate self who is going through life accumulating things and getting to be more and better and bigger and, fuller through all of this, that even that is a misconception. Spiritual awakening reveals to us that while there might be an individual who's going through life and having experience, et cetera, but fundamentally who and what we are isn't that separate sense of self, and that whatever the self is isn't even a tangible, solid thing that can accumulate things. Whatever we are really is a kind of fluid, dynamic process that's interwoven with all other beings, and as one, that are also fluid, dynamic processes, all part of one big, fluid, dynamic, unfolding process of consciousness evolving, of life evolving. And, we're this solid, tangible self we took ourselves to be, and then thought that the way to make it in life was to enhance and fortify and strengthen and deepen and embolden that self. That in fact, that's really that idea is what's in the way of our awakening. It's when we let go of that, and when we let go of that sense of self, that insistence on me, the separate self against the world. When we let go of that is when we can begin to discover who and what we really are, which is so much bigger, so much deeper, so much more extraordinary. And this whole other life begins to unfold through us. That's not really a personal life. It's not really a personal journey of accumulation and achievement. It's an unfolding, giving and flowing and participating certainly in something, grand, but it's just being a part of something, a participant in a fluid, dynamic piece of this much bigger unfolding life process, which is the opposite of a materialistic orientation. Spiritual awakening is, I don't need anything for me, the little self. I'm already whole and complete. So what do we want then? It's not that wanting is bad or we shouldn't want. Let's just say, okay, so now, having broken the spell of spiritual materialism and let go of this kind of constant wanting orientation, a sense of wanting, needing to get somewhere other than where I am, broken out of all that. Okay, what do you want when you're awakened? What does that awakening consciousness, that process of awakening consciousness that we're now embodying and participating in? Well, what desires are there then? Free of desire? We just become inert and sit there because there's no reason to do anything because we don't want anything, and that's the end. Some spiritual teachings might have you think that's the end. Just no more need, no more want, no more movement. Stillness forever in all directions. But that's not how it really works. When we awaken to this, we want this consciousness, this depth to be made visible in the world. We want it to become manifest, to be expressed, to be seen, to be known. We want the bug that we've been infected with. We want it to spread like a virus through, like a positive enlightenment virus through humanity, because we become aware that it was the belief, it was the materialism itself, the belief that something's missing, that I'm not enough, I don't have enough, that I need more for me. That's the thing that's driving, almost all the problems of the world in some sense. And so we sense, I want that to be known. I want this to be discovered. But also very practically, we want goodness manifest. We want truth spoken and seen and known and manifested. We want to elevate and uplift and to participate in that. And so there's even maybe stronger desires start to emerge in that. It's not like the end of it all is an absence of wanting, but the point of really practicing, practice recognizing the inherent fullness of reality and of yourself. That's already is the case. Practice not wanting things to be any different than they are right now. Practice not trying to move away from what is, because that is that's what allows us to deconstruct or step out of the momentum of the little wanting in the self, what the poet Kabir called the wanting creature inside me. The wanting creature inside me. To step out of that and awaken to that which doesn't want for itself, but that nonetheless is a drive. It's a drive toward the good, the true, and the beautiful, the elevation of everything, the evolution toward our ultimate potential. So, one way we can cut right to the heart of any subtle or latent spiritual materialism that's driving our practice is to anchor our practice itself in a posture of wanting nothing from the meditation. See, so even if your meditation is a practice of wanting nothing, we could take that up, like embracing what is, being content with what is, taking a position that nothing's lacking, nothing's missing. Sometimes still, there's a way it's sort of like we're doing all of that because we want to get to this place that, I've described. And, I just laid this all out and I talked about the potential. And so now it's like, okay, I want to get there. So I'm going to do this practice to try to get there in the practice. I'm trying to get to this place of where I've really discovered the great freedom from wanting in this case, but the great liberation, the great awakened consciousness. I want to get to that in this meditation session. So I'm going to do the practice diligently because I want to get to that place. And it can sort of, it's like the operating system is undermining the software program or something, because our kind of core orientation to the whole thing is still rooted in this sense of lack and trying to get somewhere else. This was really a profound turning point for me on a 6-month-long meditation retreat I did one time. And it was probably about 3 months into the retreat. And the leader of the retreat, invited me and said, why don't you start staying up all night in meditation? But when you do, don't want anything from the meditation. It was essentially an invitation to meditate 24 hours a day from then on. and yes, it does start to replace the need for sleep when you're meditating that much. Although I think I still slept a little bit, a few hours here and there. But the invitation was just give yourself to that much practice with no desire to get anything from the practice. You're just doing the practice for its own sake, come what may. And, to some degree, I probably had thought I already was coming from that place. I'd had a really profound retreat, but taking on that new orientation, sort of whenever I would sit down or even stand up, because it was all meditation at that point, there was just this, I'm not trying to get somewhere. I'm not trying to achieve anything. I'm not trying to make something happen or take something from this. I'm just giving myself to it. And it really liberated something different. It opened, it's kind of like that little tap on the head of the coconut, just the right spot, but it opened up just a much more liberated relationship to the practice. And then the practice just started deepening and deepening naturally, because I wasn't trying to steer it toward depth. Yeah, so I hope this has brought more clarity about this, about, that it's not about coming to a life of just where we're an inert blob that wants nothing, does nothing, and is of no use to the world and not engaged. It's really ultimately points to the opposite of that, but to come to that place of where we're fueled by a much more profound motivation and a much deeper wanting requires us to kind of cross the Rubicon, to really leave behind the wanting self that believes something's missing.
This podcast is supported by our paying members in Craig's Awakened Life membership program. When you join the Awakened Life, Each month, you'll receive in-depth teachings and guidance in the practice of direct awakening, including a meditation workshop, 4 guided meditations, and a live online retreat with Craig. And when you register today, you can receive your first month for 50% off. Go to awakenedlifemembership.com to learn more and enroll. If you enjoyed today's episode, we hope you'll share our show with others. And please subscribe and rate us wherever you listen to your favorite shows. If you have a minute to write a short review on your podcast app, we would deeply appreciate your support. You can stay connected to the show by subscribing to our newsletter at meditationchangeseverything.com. Each week, we'll send you new audios and videos from Craig, and we'll also let you know when we release new episodes of the show. If the approach to meditation we've been exploring today inspires you, you are invited to tune into a 90-minute online workshop Craig will be hosting called Meditation 2.0, The Miracle of Direct Awakening. In the workshop, he'll share a powerful new approach to meditation practice and guide you in a series of brief meditation experiments so you can experience it for yourself. You can listen to that at freemeditationworkshop.com. That's freemeditationworkshop.com. Check out our show notes for links to all the ways you can stay in touch with Craig's work. Meditation Changes Everything is created by Craig Hamilton, Susan Fries, Mason Ewald, Stephanie Murphy, Will Bowman, and Richard Klein. From all of us, thank you for tuning in.